Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us for this very brief online orientation for our online math courses. I'm Awilda Lopez, and I am the Dean of Mathematics for the college. I serve all of our locations, so if you are a student who can visit our Leesburg campus or Southlake campus, Four Corners location, or Sumter, I will be able to assist you. The presentation itself will last somewhere between 15 and 20 minutes, and at the end of the presentation, you will have the opportunity to ask us questions. We will also share with you how to get credit for attending today's session, so hang tight and we'll give you those instructions toward the end of the presentation. So we'll start by talking about why you're here. This orientation is for students who are enrolled in an online section of either intermediate algebra, which is our MAT 1033 course, or college algebra, our MAC 1105 course. We do have a lot of different instructors who teach these two courses. So the information that you will receive today will be generic and applies to all the courses. However, each instructor may have some specific policies that are particular to their courses, so you definitely want to look carefully through your Canvas course, read all of the announcements posted by your instructor, and make sure that you are familiar with any expectations that are particular to your instructor. The course that you are enrolled in is asynchronous, which means that there is no common meeting time for the group to get together. You will need to go through the instruction for the course on your own time, and there are instructional videos and guided lecture notes to help you work through the material. However, there is no set time for you to do this as a group, so you will need to schedule yourself for when you are going to get this done. For instance, you may decide that Mondays from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. you're going to set that time aside to watch the instructional videos, complete your lecture notes, and kind of work through the material. I would urge you to treat that as you would any other class time, where you keep that time set aside to work in the course. This is not a self-paced course. There are going to be due dates for assignments, and there will be specific dates that will be set aside for testing. So again, the course schedule may differ from one instructor to the next. So we don't have any date to display to you here, but you will receive that information from your instructor. While you will have some flexibility as to how you spend your time throughout each week, again, you will have some due dates and you will have some set test dates for your class. An online math class is quite different than taking a math class in person, and you don't necessarily have to have a strong math background to succeed in an online math course. However, you do need to be very organized, you need to be proactive, and you need to take charge of how you complete the material. If you are a passive person where you wait to be told what to do and then you do that, you're going to need to work differently and become proactive. You will have information in your Canvas course, you will have announcements, you will have emails from your instructors, but you need to access that communication proactively. We suggest that students plan on spending somewhere between 8 and 12 hours each and every week throughout the semester on this course alone. That includes your instructional time, time to complete your assignments, and then time to interact with your tutor and or your instructor. Some students may need more time depending on how much additional help they require, but definitely do set time aside in your schedule each and every week. Between 8 and 12 hours is what we recommend. In our courses, academic honesty is highly important and it is expected at all times. Yes, when you're practicing and working through the instruction, you will be allowed to collaborate with others. In fact, you will be encouraged to connect with our tutors and with each other to work through the learning process. However, when it comes to your tests, we do expect that you work independently and without the aid of any unauthorized materials. Students who violate this expectation will be subject to the consequences stated in the course syllabus and college policy. All of our testing is proctored with audio and visual surveillance. So we'll talk a little bit about what is allowed and what isn't so that you're clear as to what academic honesty looks like when it comes to testing. First, let's talk about the technology that is allowed. For students in our intermediate algebra course, MAT 1033, you are able to use a basic 4-function calculator. These are very inexpensive. You can usually buy a 4-pack at the dollar store, so they're very easy to obtain. If you are working on getting a calculator, make sure it can add, subtract, multiply, divide, and not much else, and you are good to go for intermediate algebra. For our college algebra courses, you are able to use a scientific non-graphing calculator, and I want to emphasize that. The display screen must not give you graphing capabilities. So here's an example of a TI-30X calculator that has a little bit of a larger display, but it does not have graphing capabilities. To access our online math courses, you will need a reliable desktop or laptop computer. From our experience, Chromebooks, cell phones, tablets are not going to give you the functionality to easily work through the material. You will also need access to a reliable, steady source of Wi-Fi. The college does provide free Wi-Fi that extends from our buildings out to the parking lot areas. And we also have computers available in the library for you to use. However, because we expect you to be working in your online course many, many days throughout the week, having your own personal device would be much easier for you. We have 2 different platforms that work together to deliver your online math course. Canvas is our college's learning management system, and MyMathLab is a secondary platform run by Pearson, a publisher, and the 2 work together to give you the content for the course. Canvas must be linked to the MyMathLab course properly in order for these 2 systems to communicate with each other the way they need to. So you will have instructions provided by your instructor as to how to link your Canvas course to your MyMathLab course. MyMathLab does require an access code, and that code can be purchased through our bookstore. You can also purchase one with a credit card through a link provided in your Canvas course. If you have a delay in purchasing the access code, please do start using MyMathLab immediately using the temporary 14-day access. We want all students to begin working as soon as possible, even if you have a delay in obtaining your permanent access code. Here is a screenshot of Canvas and a screenshot of MyMathLab. Just wanting to highlight that they are 2 separate platforms, but they do work together to deliver your course materials. Let's talk next about your testing options. You will have 2 ways to test for your online math course. We'll talk about the highly preferred method first, and then we'll talk about the secondary option. The highly preferred method for testing is to come physically to one of our campuses to test in person. We have a testing center at the South Lake campus in Claremont in Building 2, room 209, and we have a testing center at the Leesburg campus in the Center for Teaching and Learning building. To test in person, you must make an appointment through the appropriate website the week before your test. Again, test dates vary from one instructor to the next, so you'll want to make sure you know what the testing dates are for your course, and then make your appointment in advance. Your instructor may also require you to submit your appointment confirmation as a Canvas assignment so that he or she is aware of when you will be testing. For the testing center, there are no same day appointments. So if you fail to make a testing appointment at least 24 hours in advance, you will not have the option to test in person unless they do have space, but you should not count on that. There are 3 different testing windows per day at the testing centers. There is a 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. testing window, 1 p.m. to 4 p.m., and then there's an evening window that either goes from 4:30 to 7:30 or 5 to 8, depending on which of the 2 campuses you'll be testing at. Regardless of which of the 3 testing windows you make an appointment for, you are expected to arrive at the beginning of that testing window. So for example, if you make a testing appointment for the 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. slot, you are expected to be at the testing center no later than 9 a.m. to begin your test. There is one exception to this rule, and that is for the evening appointments. We do have some students who have other commitments during the day, perhaps they work, and so they can't arrive to the testing center by 4:30 or 5. So we do allow students to arrive late if they have the evening appointment slot, but you must indicate this when you make your appointment in the comment section so that the testing staff is aware that you will be arriving late. If you are arriving late in the evening slot, just make sure that you do have enough time to complete your test before the testing center closes that evening. So for example, arriving at 6:30 for the campus that closes at 7:30 may not give you enough time to complete your test. The testing centers do have cameras that monitor and record all of our testing areas, and we want to remind you of this, not to make you nervous. Of course, if you're observing academic honesty, that is not a problem, but we do want to remind you that there is surveillance. The second option for testing is to test remotely. You can test at home or anywhere that you have internet access using a proctoring system called ProctorU. ProctorU is a third-party system that we have a contract with as a college, and we do pay for this service. So if you decide to use ProctorU to test remotely, it is extremely important that you keep your appointment, that if you need to make a change, that you cancel your appointment correctly so that the college is not charged for no-shows. The reason this is a less preferred method is that it does typically give students some difficulties when it comes to the technology. We also require that students use an external webcam if they're using ProctorU. An external webcam is not the camera that comes integrated into your device. It is one that connects to your device through a USB connection, and you should be able to hold it in your hand so that it is completely mobile. Students who use ProctorU must also make an appointment in advance. There is a ProctorU website where you go to make these appointments, and we ask that you do this the week before your test and certainly within 3 days or 72 hours in advance of your test. If a student waits to make an appointment and can't find an available appointment using ProctorU, then he or she must come to test in person at one of the LSSC testing centers. And this is also true if there are technology issues that are not resolved. If you simply can't connect to ProctorU and you've tried and tried, then the alternative is to come in person to one of the testing centers. Again, the testing dates and times are set by each instructor, so you'll want to look for that information in your Canvas course before you make your testing appointments. If you decide to test remotely using ProctorU, there's a few extra things that you will need to take care of. One of them is that you'll need to print your work paper from your Canvas course in advance of your test, because you will need to show your written work for your test problems. There will be a live proctor who will do a few setup things with you before your test begins. That live proctor will check your photo ID to verify identity. That live proctor will also check your work paper to make sure that it is blank and that has no additional information on it. They'll review your calculator to make sure it is the approved calculator. And they'll also ask you to perform a 360-degree room scan. Again, this is why that external camera is important. You should be able to take the camera in your hand and show us all of your surroundings, again, looking for that academic honesty. This process will go faster if you check your equipment and connections in advance. So we do encourage you to go through the instructions provided by your instructor in your Canvas course as to how to check your equipment and make sure that you are ready to go on test day. We will have audio and visual recording for the entire testing session. And finally, you must scan and upload your written work as a Canvas assignment within 10 minutes of submitting your test in MyMathLab. So you will be submitting your answers electronically through MyMathLab. However, your instructor will need to see your written work. And so practicing this in advance will greatly help you on the day of the test. So you'll want to download the Adobe Scan app on your smartphone, perhaps, practice how to scan documents. And it's also very helpful if you download the Canvas Student app on your phone, because the Adobe Scan app and Canvas Student do work very nicely together on a smartphone, and it will make this process very, very easy for you. Again, if you practice doing all of this in advance, it'll make it a lot easier for you come test day. If you decide to use ProctorU, here are some examples of how you will need to position your external webcam during testing. We need to be able to see your entire testing area, including your hands, your paper, your calculator, your computer screen, and at least a partial view of your body and face. So here are some examples of good positioning. If your instructor is not satisfied with how visible your workspace is, he or she may ask you to retest. So again, being proactive and getting it right going into the test will save you some hassle. Next, let's talk a little bit about support. All of our students do have access to tutors, whether you're taking a math class in person or online. If you are taking an online class, you do have the option to connect with one of our tutors virtually. Of course, you still have the option to come to one of our campuses and work with a tutor in person at the Math Emporium. We do have a Math Emporium at our Sumter campus, as well as the Leesburg campus, and of course also at the Southlake campus. If you want to connect with one of our tutors virtually, you will use the link that is on the screen here. Don't worry about having to write that down. The link is also provided within your Canvas course. You also will be enrolled in the Math Emporium Canvas course. We know that there are some students who don't yet have access, but we're working on getting you access as soon as possible. So going to the Math Emporium Canvas course will also give you this link to connect with one of our tutors. Now, when you're using our online tutoring system, it may take a few minutes for a tutor to connect with you, and that is because our online tutors are also our in-person tutors. So they are sometimes busy helping students in our physical Math Emporium, and they have to peel away to connect with you digitally. So if it has been a few minutes and you haven't quite connected with a tutor, just hang tight, be patient. They know to be looking for those virtual connections as well. So don't just say, oh, nobody came to me, and it's been 2 minutes and I'm going to log off. Just please be patient. Here are the hours of operation for our Math Emporium. So these are the same hours for the physical Math Emporium on our campuses, as well as the virtual tutoring. All the hours are the same across all of our locations, with the exception of Fridays. The Southlake Math Emporium does open a little bit later on Friday afternoons. All right. The following note is for our intermediate algebra students only. So this does not apply to college algebra. For our intermediate algebra students, we do have student success kits that are available to you for free to be picked up from the Math Emporium at either the Leesburg campus or the Southlake campus during their open hours. These student success kits include your printed lecture notes and module checklists. Now, you do have the option to print these from your Canvas course, but we have printed some pockets to help you save a little bit on printing. And we've also organized them in a way that makes it easy for you to keep all your course materials nice and tidy. So you have the option to come and pick up these kits if you're able to come physically to one of our Math Emporium sites. But if you are not, you still have the same materials available to you through your Canvas course, but you would be responsible for printing the materials yourself. Either way, all of you in MAT 1033 will still need to either print or purchase video organizers for your course. They are available for purchase at the bookstore, and they are available to be printed through your Canvas course. We unfortunately are not able to print those for you because they are publisher materials. Now, for all students, intermediate and college algebra students, you're highly encouraged to purchase a 3-ring binder to keep all of your course materials organized. You will have lots and lots of pages to keep track of, lecture notes, homework problems, your video organizers in the case of MAT 1033. So having a place to put all of these materials together will be highly beneficial to you. And that is the end of our formal presentation. So at this time, let's share how you can get credit for attending, and then we'll give you the opportunity to ask us questions that you have. So the best way for us to record your attendance is to go into the chat feature in Zoom and give us your full name and your instructor's name so that we can report that information back to your instructor. So again, in the chat, if you can type in your name and then your instructor's name, that would be very beneficial. And as you do that, we'll go ahead and take any questions that you have. To pick up your student success kits in person, you do not need to bring any type of ID. Just give us your name and your instructor's name when you come to pick up the packets, and you'll be good to go. The Math Emporium check-in that you might see in your Canvas course, some of you still see that language, Math Emporium check-in. This is it. We're just calling it different this semester. So this online orientation is one and the same with the Math Emporium check-in. So by being here, you are satisfying that requirement.
I have a question. Who do I say I checked in with?
In the chat, you just need to give us your name and your instructor's name, and we'll check in with you. You can say Dean Lopez, because I'm the one doing the orientation today.
Okay.
But they are aware that we're changing things up a little bit, so they may be asking you for something that is no longer needed. But if you do want to respond, just say Dean Lopez did the orientation for you.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, good afternoon. I have a quick question.
Go ahead.
I was just wondering, when I'm looking at the MAT 1033 bookstore, like the things I need, says choose only one of two. Are the video kits required?
The video organizer is required, however, you don't need to purchase it at the bookstore.
I'm sorry, they're required. It cut.
They are required, but if you do not purchase it at the bookstore, the video organizer pages can be printed from the Canvas course. It's a lot of pages though. So if you have a good printer that isn't going to cost you a lot of money, then you can print it, or you have the option to purchase the video organizer from the bookstore. And again, this is only for intermediate algebra. College algebra does not have a video organizer.
Thank you.
Yeah, once you've given us your name and instructor, if you don't have any questions, you're free to go.
Do you want us to put our name and instructor in the chat, or just?
In the chat, yeah. So so there's a question about, is the Math Emporium tutoring by appointment? No, it's not. It's just drop-in. So if you come into the Math Emporium, we'll be happy to help you. If you're come onto the online, give us a few minutes to get to you, or we'll try and get to them as quickly as we can. But as long as we're open, someone's here to help you.
Hey, this is Michael. I had a question. I was downloading uh the class, the book. I'm sorry, the book, and I couldn't get that to link up with MyMathLab. So what's the protocol with trying to get that? It was asking for the code, and I was putting it in. It wasn't linking up.
Okay.
You're talking about the
So-
access code that you purchased at the bookstore?
The access code. Yeah, it was real long, like 5 segments or whatever. And I was putting it in, and it said it wasn't taking it for the course.
Okay, so let me have me and you join the other breakout room, and I'll go through that with you.
Okay,
So
sure.
if you want to just leave this room, I'll talk
Okay.
to you.
And I can hang out if you need to still do stuff with this call or something.
I'll keep taking questions. Doug, you go ahead and take care of it.
Yeah, Dean Lopez is here. I can take you in the other room.
Thank you for doing that.
Just right. Thank you.
Someone asked, do we provide external cameras? We do have external cameras available to be checked out at our library. I did check with them this week and they do have them available. External cameras have dropped in price as well. I saw one on Amazon just a couple of days ago for under $10. So I'm not saying that you have to buy one, but these are not considered to be expensive equipment. But if you do want to borrow one, they do have them to check out at our libraries.
After we put our name and our instructor's name in the chat.
Yes,
Are
in
you
the chat, just so that we can record your attendance, give us your name and your instructor's name, and if you have no questions, then you're free to go after that.
Okay, thank you so much. You guys have a great one.
You too.
Well, I have to get a 4-function calculator at the college.
You do not have to get it at the college. If you want to purchase them, they actually are very, very inexpensive. They're about 25 cents. You go to Dollar Tree, you usually can buy like a 4-pack for $1.25. So they're very inexpensive. If you come to campus to test, we will be providing the calculator for you for testing, so you don't have to bring your own. However, if you're going to be testing remotely, if you're going to be using ProctorU to test at home, then you do have to provide your own calculator.
Understood. All right, I'm signing out. See ya.
Thank you. All right, I have a question from Elaine. If we go on campus for testing, will our worksheets be sent to our instructors, or do we need to scan and send them ourselves? That is a great question, and the answer depends on your instructor. Some instructors are okay with collecting the paper from the test proctors at our testing centers. They may wait a few days and then just pick up the packets. Other instructors will ask the students to scan and upload their written work before they hand over the work paper to the test proctor. I'm one of those. When I teach online, I ask all of my students, whether they're testing in person or whether they're testing online, to scan and upload their work, because that way it's attached to your record in Canvas. So the answer to that question will depend on your instructor. So definitely check with your instructor if you're testing on campus as to what he or she expects when it comes to your work paper. The hours to the Math Emporium, yes, let me pull that back up and I will display that. Share my screen again. So we're open Monday through Saturday, and all the hours are the same for all locations except for Fridays. We're open a little bit later at the South Lake campus. And this information should be available within your course as well. So if you don't see it in your Canvas course, please ask your instructor to add it. And then once all the students are registered in the Math Emporium Canvas course, you'll see that information there as well. You're very welcome. Not seeing any additional questions on chat. Any of you who are still in the meeting, any questions or comments? You're very welcome. We just want you to be successful and know that you have a lot of support, even though you're virtual and not here on campus.
I have a quick question. Do we still have to download that piece of paper to show that we were in the meeting, or is this good enough?
This should be good enough. Again, we're changing how we've done this in the past, so some of the
Okay.
courses may still have old instructions.
Okay,
So just let them know you had the orientation with Dean Lopez at 11 o'clock today. And then as long as we have your name and your instructor's name in the chat, we'll get that information back to your instructor.
okay, appreciate it. And thank you for your time.
You're welcome. Looks like we still have 2 students on the call. Do you have any questions for us, Nia or Abigail?
Oh, nope, I'm sorry. Getting off. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Have a great day. Abigail, any questions before we leave the meeting? All right, so you checked in under *6, so we do have your attendance recorded. All right, so if there's no other questions, I'll go ahead and end the meeting. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
I think that was it, right? Just
Yeah,
this.
I think that's. Yeah.
Awesome.
So-
I hope you guys are enjoying this format. I think the students are finding it beneficial.
Yesterday, so we had an issue. Did you happen to catch do you happen to have the chat log? It didn't save anywhere.
Oh, that would be terrible.
What I did was I asked Steven, because he was on his personal